Hello everyone, and welcome back to Elder Scrolls Online. I need this water there. I'm doing this like one after another, so I really need the waters. So, well, let's go through here. We're going to have some fighting to do. At the Sunless Garden. Let's break a few of these, shall we? Why would they choose to eat this? Wait, what? Oh, okay. Is there another player here? That was weird. There is light here, but it's low light. These plants should be growing, but not thriving. Yet he's saying they are dying. That's just strange.
If you can hear my voice, step to the nearest speaking tube this instant.
I'm sorry, what was that? I didn't quite catch it. Where's our broken fan there? That's interesting.
Interruptions are counterproductive. The seventh law of gears teaches us that. Well, since you've already distracted me, you might as well tell me what you want.
Idrano said you would talk. Indrano said we should talk to you about.
Idrano. His experiment was doomed from the beginning. You can't grow plants without a source of nourishing light. My plants thrive thanks to the use of Lecter Naro's simulated sunlight. But I wasn't informed we were getting new apprentices.
Don't you receive new apprentices at this time every year?
That was the practice until Gathal died. Then the Lector sealed his private workshop and gave us these experiments to conduct while he perfected his simulated sunlight. It makes our annual harvest possible. If there were other apprentices, I'd know.
Well, Lecter Nero selected Shirzar, and Shirzar saw Miraco get selected last season. There we go.
I suppose Lector Naril could have more apprentices toiling in his private workshop. He keeps numerous secrets, so what's a few more? You can enter the workshop through the busted vent over there. Ignorance of his rules might grant you some leeway.
We'll take a look into Lecter Nero's private workshop.
Lector Naril's private workshop is restricted, but I don't expect you to find anything. If he catches you snooping around, feign ignorance and beg forgiveness. What's the worst he could do? I suppose he could turn you into plant food.
Can you tell me more about Lecter Nero?
Lector Naril is one of the most respected clockwork apostles currently operating within Lord Set's great experiment. Every novice wants to become his apprentice, and every sentient in the Brass Fortress hopes to partake of his bountiful harvests.
How did he come to lead the efforts here at the Wellspring?
That's a long and complicated tale. The short form is that he was one of Sotha Seal's most trusted warrior scholars. When our great master abandoned the Wellspring for other endeavors, Narrow stepped in to fill the gap. He's been here ever since.
How did the vent get busted?
An unfortunate factotum accident. Happens occasionally. Sometimes the poor contraptions just get overheated and explode. That's why I prefer to work at a significant distance from the machines. Say, a good 30 paces or thereabouts.
Wise. Very wise. Okay.
I'm very disappointed, Sherazar. Shirhari's plaque of safe passage has been rendered inoperable. Now, return to me immediately.
That doesn't make sense. Why would he do that? I already gave the answer in the last one. I was right. We don't have to face that.
Lector Gnarl's a clockwork apostle. He must keep meticulous notes. We need to examine them.
Origins. Sothasils manipulated the mathematics and applied the magic necessary to call forth a huge reservoir of water, which he placed within a chasm in the Clockwork City. He sealed the great pool. Whoops. Give me 1 second. He sealed the great pool beneath a thick layer of metallic soil with the intention... I lost my place because I had to press button to stop the sound. Metallic soil with the intention of creating a lush oasis inside his mechanical wonder. He called it the Everwound Wellspring, and explained a little of his grand plan to the apostles. But the clockwork god, easily distracted by other challenges and countless mysteries, stepped away to deal with other things and never returned. In time, his apostles moved on as well. All except for me. I believed in the Oasis project, and I undertook the vital need it fulfilled for the Clockwork City. So I began to work on the wellspring myself, eventually attracting apprentices of my own. Soon this compound rose up from the metallic dust, and our experiments took on greater depth and significance. Our earliest success revolved around mosses, molds, and fungi, living creatures that could thrive in dark environments, with nothing more than water and a bit of fertilizer to nourish them. Bolstered by our accomplishment, I set our sights on the most elusive prize. I turned our efforts to growing actual fruits, plants, and vegetables to supplement the diets of the Clockwork City's living inhabitants.
That's the story of how the Everwound Wellspring was created. Lector Gnarl picked up where Sothasil left off.
Maintaining detection state 5.
Early experiments. Apprentice Gathel and Apprentice Othwin. Shine is my best and most promising acolytes. Even Sothasil would be impressed with their accomplishments on behalf of the wellspring. We've expanded our gardens for mushrooms and other fungi to include groves for fruit-bearing trees, fields for vegetable-yielding plants, and plots for flowers and other flora. To achieve the goal I set forth, we need a powerful solution of alchemical nutrients that would provide essential elements missing from the Clockwork City. After an extensive period of trial and error, I finally hit upon the perfect combination of alchemical components. With the help of our factorums, we created a series of pipes and holding tanks where we could treat the water and then use it to irrigate the groves and gardens. Our initial seeds sprouted perfectly, receiving vital nutrients from the alchemical-treated water. On the verge of our biggest, most varied harvest to date, something unforeseen happened. No matter how much we care for them, the trees and plants withered and died before they could blossom. It was a crushing day for the Everwound Wellspring.
The early experiments failed, even though Lector Naro perfected his alchemical solution. I wonder how they solved the problem.
Okay, map me. Okay. It was Apprentice Gathel, my most favored protege, who determined the terrible problem facing us. The clockwork sun, Gathel declared. It has neither the warmth nor the life-giving properties of the sun that hangs in the sky above Nirn. Once Gathel pointed this out, it seemed so obvious. The clockwork sun provides light and gives us a constant day-night cycle, but it does nothing to help the wellspring's plants grow. We'll need our own source of nourishing light. With that, Gathel and I set to work to invent a device that would replicate Nirn's sun. We have some success with a limited light source, but it required to utilize the factorums to constantly rotate the crops in and out of nourishing light. This allowed us to harvest a small number of plants and begin the tradition of annual harvest and apprentice selection. But we need both an illumination device and power source capable of simulating actual sunlight. We were so close, yet the solution seemed so far away. Through trial and error, it took only a dozen or so iterations to perfect the suitable illumination device. When we hit upon the transparent, lucent alloy to serve as the conductor for the simulated sunlight, we were certain we were on the right track. However, no matter how promising the illuminating device appeared to be, the plants continued to die. We need more power, but nothing available in the Clockwork City seemed to offer a workable solution. It was a conundrum!
I never knew what went into making the wellspring work. I wonder how they finally got the simulated sunlight to nourish the plants.
It's more than just lights, though. More than just lights. Apprentice Gathel and I seem to have hit a wall in our efforts to create life-giving simulated sunlight. Our illumination devices work perfectly and have the capacity to channel light that is up to 100 times brighter and stronger than what we can produce with the power sources available for our simulated sunlight inductor. We need a stronger power source or the ever-wound wellspring is doomed to fail. After countless hours of testing, experimentation, Gathel has come to one irrefutable conclusion. Our simulated sunlight inducer requires life to nourish life. We had some promising results by draining small amounts of life energy from volunteers and using it to power the simulated sunlight illuminators. The clear and bright light this energy produces makes our plants grow more quickly and more robustly than any other source we applied. The differences are nothing short of miraculous, but the borrowed life energy is fleeting and doesn't provide anywhere near the amount of power we need to operate all of the illuminators necessary to nourish all of our gardens. We're so close, yet so far from a real and lasting solution. I returned to the workshop to find a disconcerting sight. Gathel had attached himself to the inductor while I was away in order to conduct an experiment I had expressly forbid him from performing. It was his contention that we could extract even more life energy from volunteers if we could determine the point at which the volunteer could still regenerate the borrowed life. If we could take that much and not a drop more, we might be able to power the illuminators. But if we took too much, the volunteer would die. Unfortunately, Gathel was too zealous in his application of the draining device. All of his life force fed the inductor, leaving nothing to provide power for his own body. My apprentice, my protege, was dead. Before grief could overwhelm me, however, I noticed an amazing thing. The inductor hummed with more energy than I had ever contained through numerous trials and experiments. Gathel had solved the problem. The inductor required the entire life force of a subject to provide enough power to keep the wellspring aglow with simulated sunlight for an entire season. That's when I promised that Gathel's sacrifice would not be in vain. I announced that the harvest distribution would continue as long as the apostles agreed to provide me with a new apprentice every year. Those apprentices would be fed to the inductor, and the simulated sunlight produced by their life force would give us a bountiful harvest which fed the masses. It was the perfect solution, even the cost of our knowledge turned out to be so expensive.
The source of the simulated sunlight is the life force of the missing apprentices? That's horrible. We need to see what's inside Narwhal's private workshop. That machine! Is that the inductor? The apprentices! It sucked the life out of them!
Not quite what I thought. I thought maybe he was taking them and grinding up the bodies and using that as a compost nutrients to add to the water to assist with the weaker light.
This is the Lector's simulated sunlight inductor. And just as we read in his notes, he's using the life force of the most recent apprentices to power the device. So the Seal would never approve of this. Never in a million clicks of the Great Gear.
It's too late to help the apprentices, but we should get out of here.
No. If we leave, Lector Narwhal will just use Shirhari or one of the others. We have to do something. We have to stop this madness. People shouldn't be turned into plant food. At least not while they're still healthy and vibrant. It's not natural.
At least? I'll put an end to Lector Narrow.
So now you know the secret of the wellspring. You see your role in our grand plan. Time is short. The life force of the previous apprentices is nearly depleted.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you resist? Your life force can feed thousands.
Come on.
You lash out because you fail to grasp the importance of what I do.
You just healed. Really? He is dead.
There's nothing to be done for these poor apprentices. The Inductor has drained every drop of life from their bodies. But what of Lector Naril? He cloaks his evil in good intentions.
I dealt with Lector Narrow. But what do we do about the machine?
The Lector lied. He tricked the apprentices and killed them. But the machine does allow the plants to grow and provides food for the Clockwork City. I wonder, what if someone willingly sacrificed themselves to feed the people?
Character wouldn't care, but the cost to use the Inductor is too great. We need to shut it down.
You're right. The sacrifice is too great. Lector Narl turned Sotha Seal's dream into a nightmare. I'll work with the remaining apprentices. Together, we'll find another way for the Everwound Wellspring to help the Clockwork City.
How horrible! Those apostles, all dead?
Not just dead, drained of life to create the simulated sunlight.
Still, it's an amazing device. Lector Narl's a true genius.
A genius? Look at this. Gnarl's insane.
Narl's dead, and this work is an affront to Lord Set and everything he's taught us.
I won't argue that point. But you can't deny that Narl accomplished what the Clockwork Mage never quite got around to doing.
This one rejects that path. A life is worth more than a harvest. More than 100 harvests.
This isn't our decision to make. We should go before the council.
No, there's no decision to make. I'm shutting this horrid contraption down right now.
Sunlight.
We're the apprentices of the Everwound Wellspring. We'll figure out a way to save the plants.
You really think so? This one hopes that we are up to such a task.
We're clockwork apostles. Of course we can do this. Now, let's get to work.
Well, it is definitely time to wrap up this video. Very interesting quest. So, I'm just going to teleport to the main city, but not actually do it in the video. It might take too long. Loading screen and all. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you are new to the channel, you can subscribe down below for more videos like this and of other videos. Excuse me. You can also subscribe to my Twitter as well as my Twitch channel where I sometimes stream. But until next we meet, please do be safe, everyone. Bye.